Hey, look out. It's Faith Talk Live. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
Hey, he's back. Dr. Barry Howard, one of our favorites from the church at Wyuka. And it's been 4 years, I read, Doc, 4 years now at the church of Wyuka. I guess you're working on your fourth year, right?
Just starting the fourth year. Yeah, it's hard to believe, guys. Started the fourth year last week.
Now,
and that's, I mean, you came up from Pensacola, Florida. Are you missing the beach, or are you enjoying the Atlanta cold now, hot today, cold tomorrow?
Well, how about a little of both? We love the Atlanta area, but on Christmas weekend when it was 7 degrees, we really missed Florida.
Yeah. I'm sure.
Now, wait a minute. Pensacola does get chilly, though, doesn't it?
It does. They will have 3 to 4 days in the 20s about once a year. And so you get just a little cold weather, but not much.
Yeah.
Now, we were there 17 years, and we did have snow twice, but
wow,
not accumulation.
Yeah. That sounds like my kind of place to be. The older I get, the less I like the cold. So
yeah. Well, today's certainly a good day. Glad to see a break in the rain, and hope everybody's had a great start to the new year.
Yeah, we're looking forward to an amazing 2023. And if you'll go to, I don't know if it's the church at Wyuka's website, wyuka.org, or if it's Facebook, but I saw some really cool things. 10 things to remember about making a lasting impact through effective ministry. Some good stuff there, Doc. Thanks for putting that down. Kind of going over that. If we have time, we may touch on that. But I think the last time we brought up the ministry to Ukraine, something that you guys are passionate about. Let's talk about it.
Well, we really are, guys. First of all, Amanda and I have a close relationship with a lot of friends in Ukraine. Some of my high school and college classmates were missionaries to Ukraine. When we were in Florida, we actually met current missionaries to Ukraine. And so when the war broke out, we reached out to them, and we're glad to know they were on furlough and in a safe place. They do work with a counseling center and an orphanage, but unfortunately the orphanage was one of the first places bombed and destroyed. And a lot of the folks in their church lost their home and businesses and et cetera. So a few months after the war started, the missionary reached out to us to ask if we might host a family that had been displaced. A lot of the families, as you've probably heard, were scattered around Europe. Some were seeking healthcare, some were just seeking safety. This particular family had a brother who was stranded here in Atlanta. So we agreed to adopt a family and then a young single professional, and they arrived in August and September. And it's really been revolutionizing for the church. The church has just accepted our Ukrainian friends as members of our family while they're here. We're praying for the war to be over soon. But it's been a real adventure, learning a lot about their culture, their concerns, and also praying with them for their family members and friends back in Ukraine.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what kind of things have you learned from him? Because it's always different having somebody from a different country and just learning what their values and their culture and everything. What kind of cool things have you learned from them?
Well, we certainly learn a lot about their music, their food, the idiosyncrasies of their language, and the Levchenko family, which the mom is very proficient in English. The husband's in language classes right now, and he's improving. He brings me a greeting in English every Sunday. But we've learned about their commitment to prayer, the depth of their faith. I didn't know till the war broke out that Ukraine is the largest mission sending country in all of Europe. And so the depth and background of faith there, and particularly faith under difficult circumstances, because even though the war started in our eyes a year ago, there's been hostility going on for centuries, and the church has been persecuted, and yet their faith is absolutely stalwart.
Yeah, awesome.
Dr. Barry Howard, the Church of Wyuka. Doc, are these folks going to stay? Or are they going to go back when the war is over? And no doubt they have relatives there. What are their worries? What are their fears? What do they think about?
Well, one, they want to get back as soon as they can to their home and their country. The family that we're sponsoring, the family of 5, My understanding is their home is still standing, but their business was damaged or destroyed.
Hmm.
They do have some relatives in safer parts of Ukraine, but they were located near Kiev, where the bombing is located.
Mm-hmm.
The government, in order to create a temporary place of safety, joined with other nations in the U.S. established the United for Ukraine program, which is a special type of refugee program where Ukrainians can come for up to 2 years, and that can be extended if the war goes on. They certainly hope they don't have to stay 2 years, but the government provides a visa for a couple of years for them to be here, enables them to work while they're here so that they have a safe place and hopefully can return home as soon as possible. They also, the displacement of kids in school and getting their children both in school in the Atlanta area. And then they have a son who's in the university in Ukraine, and he's currently with friends of relatives at the university in the United Kingdom, hoping to get back to Ukraine as soon as the university reopens. So their entire life was disrupted. They're caring, they're loving, they're enthusiastic, and they're certainly inspiring to be around.
Sorry, my dog just started barking. But Barry, is there any way that that we and our Faith Talk family can help you guys out in this endeavor?
Well, guys, thanks for asking. You know, right now it's been amazing how people have come together in that in sponsoring the family. It's much like sponsoring. My wife and I in the past have sponsored a couple of international college students.
Mm-hmm.
So it's much like sponsoring them. The United for Ukraine program has an individual sponsor, a family or a person on behalf of an organization. But there are other families that we've been contacted about that would like to come to the Atlanta area. And so if there are other churches or individuals who'd be interested in sponsoring, they could certainly contact me via the contact information on our website. We have a Ukrainian ministry team that would be glad to walk alongside them. We're currently meeting with 2 other churches who want to learn more about the sponsorship program so that they can either help sponsor, co-sponsor, or maybe sponsor a family or young professional outright.
Our guest is Dr. Barry Howard, the Church at Wyuka, and you can go to wyuka.org to help out and find out more. And let's change gears, Doc. Let's talk a little bit about those 10 things. We don't have time to cover all 10 good ones, but you have a list here of lasting impact through effective ministry. And we all want to be a part of effective ministry, right? We don't just want to.
Exactly.
So we want to do something that's kingdom, changing people's lives for Christ. Effective ministry is mission driven, not market driven. A lot of pastors watch and listen to the show. Let's start right there. Give us more.
Well, I think that's a general consensus among those who are working in the church right now. For several years, particularly the last 20, churches felt like if you build it, they will come. They adopted what many would refer to as the attractional model. If you attract someone, they'll come to hear a singer, come to hear a featured speaker. I think in interviewing those who have left the church, and particularly nuns and duns, they've recognized that people are looking more for a connection than an attraction.
Mm-hmm.
They're burned out on entertainment type church, and they're looking for connection that involves encouragement, inspiration, and accountability. Mm-hmm. And so a mission-driven church is going to follow not only the Great Commission, but a specific mission that empowers the gifts of that congregation to make an impact in the community. Market-driven church comes from a different direction. You're trying to reach people just through billboards and media, and you might reach a few that you can involve in a connection, but it's like, which came first, the chicken or the egg?
Yeah.
And I think in this case, we're discovering more and more it's the connection that actually gives people a long-term relationship with a spiritual community, not the attraction. Mm-hmm. As someone that I love and trust once said, when you use a dog and pony show, you keep having to improve the show, mm-hmm. or they're going to go somewhere else.
Right.
If you have a connection, people are going to remain connected long after you've moved off the scene.
Yep.
Years ago, I was on staff at a church in San Diego, and there was another church in town, and it was a fast-growing church, and just volumes of people every week. Well, the guy would bring in a special speaker, a world-renowned speaker, pretty much every other week, if not every week. I think he preached maybe once a month. And finally, I mean, he could draw the crowds, but finally got tired of that market related. I mean, he did the billboards and the radio and the television and everything. And then when he started just committing to discipleship and what we're called to do, the crowds, well, they left. So, but I think it's all good. It got back down to the core of what needed to happen. And I think, who am I? But I think that's where the church needed to be right now, is say, hey, wait a minute, this is not working here.
Yeah.
We need to get back to what our calling is and just be mission focused. And I'm tired of the glitz and the glamour. Let's do what Jesus has called us to do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And there's a big difference in your methodology if your aim is to draw a crowd rather than developing disciples. If you develop disciples, the people will follow, because discipleship is contagious. Drawing a crowd is fickle, based on the disposition of the audience. And there's a big difference, guys, in an audience and a congregation. An audience comes as spectators. A congregation is there to be active participants.
Yeah. And with that market model, the chances of you wanting to water down your message a little bit to please everybody are greater, I would say, than in a mission-driven church.
Yeah, crowds are a little fickle. A crowd loved the fish and loaves, and then a crowd said crucify him. So it could have been some of the same crowd.
Very true.
Yeah. Doc, you're always a pleasure. You're a bright spark. Thank you for doing what you're doing. We always get a lot out of what you say and what you do. Thank you for you and the team there at Wyuka. Wyuka.org. Remind me, is that list of 10, did I get that off the website or the Facebook? I don't remember, but
I think it's on Facebook. They may have added it to the website. You know what? I believe we put it in the newsletter as well, Rick. So it's probably both. It's on social media and on the website. And by the way, the website address will stay the same, but we're in the process of upgrading the website. So next time I talk with you guys, we'll have a whole brand new website that's much more user-friendly.
Awesome. Yeah,
let's catch up in the spring. And I think a little bird told me it was Dr. Howard's birthday. So, hey, 30 never looked so good, Doc. 30 never looked so good. Happy birthday.
Thank you, guys. Always great to be with you. Appreciate what you do.
Hey, let's take a break. We'll be right back. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
This is Faith Talk Live.